Alnwick Castle's vampiric lord, true horror story, haunting tale of blood and plague. Nestled in the picturesque landscape of Northumberland, England, Alnwick Castle stands as a monument to history, power, and the supernatural. Though today it draws countless visitors for its stunning architecture and gardens, the castle has a darker legacy steeped in horror and intrigue. In the 12th century, Alnwick Castle became the setting for one of England's earliest vampire legends, a tale that continues to send shivers down the spine of those who hear it. This story revolves around an enigmatic lord, whose lifeless body was said to have risen from the grave, instilling terror in the hearts of the local villagers. As chronicled by William of Newburgh, a 12th century historian, this tale weaves together themes of disease, hysteria, and anti-aristocratic sentiment. It reflects not only the fears of the populace in a time of plague but also the deep-seated resentment against the ruling class. Join us as we delve into the chilling narrative of Alnwick Castle's vampiric lord, exploring the historical context, the legend itself, and its implications. Chapter 1. Alnwick Castle, a historical overview. The origins of Alnwick Castle. Alnwick Castle, with its imposing stone walls and formidable towers, dates back to the 11th century. Originally built as a motte and bailey fortress by Roger de Merley, it was strategically positioned overlooking the River Ing. Over the centuries, it has undergone numerous renovations and expansions, becoming the residence of the powerful Percy family, who played a significant role in English history. The castle in the 12th century. By the 12th century, Alnwick Castle had evolved into a prominent stronghold in the north of England. Amidst the backdrop of feudalism, the castle served as a seat of power for local lords, who wielded authority over the surrounding lands. This period was marked by turmoil, including conflicts such as the Anarchy, a civil war between supporters of King Stephen and Empress Matilda. As tensions rose, so too did the fears of the populace. With the constant threat of violence and disease lurking in the shadows, superstitions flourished. The idea of the undead, particularly vampires, began to take root in the collective consciousness of medieval society. Chapter 2. The Legend of the Vampiric Lord. The chronicler, William of Newburgh. William of Newburgh, a revered historian and monk, penned one of the earliest accounts of the vampiric legend associated with Alnwick Castle. His writings provide a rare glimpse into the fears and beliefs of 12th century England. Newburgh documented the tale in his work, Historia Rerum Anglicarum, which chronicled significant events and peculiar happenings of the time. The tale unfolds. According to Newburgh's account, the lord of Alnwick Castle died under mysterious circumstances. Following his death, a plague began to ravage the surrounding villages, leading to widespread fear and devastation. Villagers reported sightings of a figure resembling their deceased lord, roaming the night and preying on the living. The sighting of a bloated corpse, allegedly filled with blood, fueled the rumor that the lord had returned from the grave as a vampire. As the death toll continued to rise, panic ensued. Villagers, desperate to halt the plague, turned to the supernatural explanation for their suffering. The notion of the undead returning to seek revenge or sustain themselves from the blood of the living resonated deeply with the community. The exhumation and the ritual. In a desperate attempt to rid themselves of the supposed curse, the villagers decided to exhume the lord's corpse. Upon examination, they discovered a bloated body, which they believed was evidence of vampiric activity. The villagers, driven by fear and superstition, took drastic measures. They burned the corpse, a ritualistic act aimed at freeing the community from the clutches of the undead. This shocking act of exhumation and destruction reflected the extreme measures the populace was willing to take against perceived threats. It also highlighted the growing sentiment against the aristocracy, as they blamed their suffering on the actions and lifestyles of the noble class. Chapter 3. Contextualizing the legend. Disease and hysteria in medieval England. The 12th century was a time of great uncertainty and fear in England. The Black Death, which would later ravage Europe in the 14th century, had its precursors in earlier outbreaks of plague and disease. The people of medieval society were ill-equipped to understand the causes of these diseases, often attributing them to spiritual or supernatural forces. Hysteria surrounding disease was common, leading to the proliferation of folklore and legends. The association of death with the undead became a prevalent theme as communities sought to make sense of the inexplicable. The vampire legend of Alnwick Castle can thus be seen as a manifestation of these fears, reflecting the desperate need for answers in a time of crisis. Anti-aristocratic sentiment. The tale of the vampiric lord also sheds light on the growing resentment towards the aristocracy. As the lords and ladies lived in relative luxury, the common people suffered from the consequences of war, famine, and disease. The belief that the nobility could be responsible for their suffering, even in death, provided a powerful narrative for the disenfranchised. In this context, the act of exhuming and burning the lord's corpse can be viewed as a rebellion against the oppressive power structures of the time. It was a way for the common folk to reclaim agency over their lives in the face of overwhelming despair. Chapter 4. The Legacy of the Vampiric Lord. Continuing impact on culture and folklore. The legend of Alnwick Castle's vampiric lord did not fade into obscurity after its initial telling. Instead, it became a part of the rich tapestry of English folklore, influencing later vampire legends and stories. The themes of death, resurrection, and the struggle between the living and the undead found their way into literature, art, and popular culture. Influence on modern vampire lore. The story of the vampiric lord can be seen as an early precursor to the modern vampire mythos. The image of the undead rising from the grave, seeking blood to sustain their existence, is a trope that has been immortalized in countless novels, films, and television shows. The blend of historical fact and folklore in this tale serves as a reminder of how legends evolve over time. Alnwick Castle today. Today, Alnwick Castle remains a popular tourist destination, attracting visitors from around the world. While many come to admire its stunning architecture and lush gardens, others seek to explore its darker history. Ghost tours and historical reenactments bring the legend of the vampiric lord to life, captivating audiences with tales of horror and intrigue. Chapter 5. Revisiting the legend. The historical evidence. While the tale of the vampiric lord is undoubtedly steeped in myth and legend, there is a kernel of truth that can be discerned through historical analysis. The practice of exhuming and desecrating corpses in response to fears of vampirism was not uncommon in medieval Europe. Records indicate that similar incidents occurred in various regions, often fueled by outbreaks of disease. The role of superstition in society. Superstition played a critical role in shaping the beliefs and actions of medieval communities. The inability to understand the causes of illness led to the rise of various folk practices aimed at warding off evil spirits and malevolent forces. The belief in vampires and the undead became a way for people to grapple with their fears and uncertainties. The intersection of history and folklore. The story of Alnwick Castle's vampiric lord exemplifies the intersection of history and folklore, demonstrating how real-life events can give rise to legendary narratives. The blending of fact and fiction creates a compelling tale that resonates with audiences, transcending time and cultural boundaries. Conclusion: the enduring allure of horror. The legend of Alnwick Castle's vampiric lord serves as a haunting reminder of the fears and uncertainties that plagued medieval society. It reflects the desperate search for explanations in the face of tragedy, as well as the resentment towards those in power. Today, as we stand before the imposing walls of Alnwick Castle, we are reminded not only of its historical significance but also of the chilling tales that echo through its corridors. The story of the vampiric lord endures, captivating our imaginations and inviting us to explore the dark recesses of human fear and folklore. In a world where the lines between reality and myth often blur, the legend of Alnwick Castle remains a testament to the enduring allure of horror. The tale continues to inspire, intrigue, and terrify, ensuring that the legacy of the vampiric lord will live on for generations to come. And that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed listening to this true horror story, then do subscribe to Horror Vault channel in order to watch our upcoming stories. I will see you in the next video.